Hello SDI students, my name is Martin, and in this video we'll be going over the assembly of the AR15 Lower receiver. We start off by mounting the trigger spring to the trigger. The disconnector and its spring are added to the trigger. The trigger is lowered into the lower receiver and the trigger pin is inserted to secure it in place. The hammer spring is mounted onto the hammer and the hammer is lowered into the lower receiver and the hammer pin is inserted to secure the hammer in place. The front of the trigger guard is mounted into the front slot and the rear of the trigger guard is secured in place with a roll pin. The selector is mounted into the lower receiver from the left side. The safety detent and spring are inserted. The pistol grip is added and secured in place by the pistol grip screw. The pivot pin detent and spring are added to the lower receiver. The pivot pin detent is depressed as the pivot pin is inserted. The takedown pin is added and the takedown detent and spring are added. The receiver extension nut, butt stock collar tube lock are added to the lower receiver. The buffer detent and buffer detent spring are added before the receiver extension is fully threaded. The receiver extension is threaded in and secured in place by the receiver extension nut. The buffer spring is inserted into the receiver extension. The buffer is added and placed behind the buffer detent. The lock pin spring and buttstock slide lock are added to the buttstock. The telestock latch is added and secured in place with a lock pin nut and roll pin. The buttstock assembly is added to the receiver extension. The magazine catch spring and magazine catch button are added and fully depressed to the right side of the lower receiver, as the magazine catch is added and threaded to the left side of the lower receiver. The bolt catch spring and bolt catch plunger are added to the lower receiver, followed by the bolt catch. It is secured in place by the bolt catch roll pin. This concludes the assembly of the lower receiver.